What's up and welcome to the single player experience. I'm your host Sebastian Malden, and in this episode, I'm talking about the indie game that you simply have to play if you're a fan of smaller, story-centric games. If you're the type of gamer who loves wholesome and cozy games, then this game I'm going to talk about today should shoot right to the top of your video game backlog list. So, what is this game, and why is it a good single player experience? Find out right after the intro. DJ, hit the beat. This is the Single Player Experience, the podcast that helps single-player gamers manage their video game backlog. I'm your host, Sebastian Malden, and my main quest is to help you manage your ever-growing video game backlog by letting you know which single-player games are worth your time and money so that you can have the best single-player experience. Now, without further ado, let's start the show. DJ, cut the beat. Sometimes in life, it's the smaller experiences or events that stick out the most. Like, for example, going to the store with a friend or cooking a meal with a loved one. It might seem like an everyday mundane thing to do, but these are often the events in our lives that we look back on fondly. Everyone has memories and moments like these. The game A Walk With Yiayia is built around a moment just like the ones I mentioned earlier. The game is centered on the main character simply taking a stroll around the neighborhood with his grandmother. Despite the game's smaller scale, it delivers big in everything it sets out to do. The game has a distinctive black, white, and gray tone mixed with a cute mixture of 2D and 3D retro art styles. As you play through the game, the settings kind of change up a bit, but every place you encounter is very well designed. Throughout the walk and your talk with your Yaya, which by the way translates to grandmother in Greek, you learn about your family and you learn about your Yaya's past. The writing here is where the game truly stands out. Each chat is memorable and emotional. Like the stories we hear from our own relatives, Yaya's stories teach lessons and remind you that people have layered past. The game also has mini games and side quests that kind of break things up. The side quests are simple, but completing them gives you a nice interaction between the grandson and Yaya. The mini games also offer a nice variety and intertwine with Yaya's story really well. You're going to probably like some of the mini games more than others, but overall, it's a pretty good time. So, overall, this game took me about an hour to complete. It's an experience that hit me hard in such a way that I spent the rest of the day thinking about the game. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not often that I find myself tearing up while playing a game, but this one got to me. As someone who lost his own grandmother, I found the game to be a delightful reminder of the small, everyday, mundane moments that I had with her. So, should you play A Walk With Yaya? Yes, that's the simple answer. Especially if you're a gamer who loves cozy games, story-based games, or just smaller scale experiences, then absolutely yes. Despite only being a 60-minute experience, this game punches well above its weight. If you're a person who loves good storytelling, good writing, excellent visuals, then this is a game that you should definitely check out. If you're a gamer that likes any of those elements that I just described, then you should definitely check out A Walk With Yaya. In this show, we practice the 10 games backlog rule. In this practice, you log down 10 games. Those games are going to be your video game backlog. To be as productive as you possibly can be, we recommend that you only play 3 games at one time. One single-player narrative game, one game that's going to be your chill and relax game, and another game that's going to be your palate cleanser game, which is a game that you play when you're not in the mood for your other narrative games. When you complete or get tired of one game, it leaves the backlog list. Then you decide which new game is added to the list, and which game on the list advances to your active 3 games. So, where should Walk With Yiayia fit in your video game backlog list? This game is a game that should be your main primary game. It's short, roughly about 60 minutes long, so you can play it in one sitting, enjoy it, and then move on to the next game in your video game backlog list. If you're a fan of wholesome and cozy games, then A Walk With Yiayia should definitely be in your video game backlog. So, that is the game recommendation of the week that you should consider adding to your backlog list. If you want me or my community of gamers to give you feedback on your backlog list, then join us in the Single Player Experience Discord server. Once you're in, feel free to share your video game backlog list, or talk about good single-player game experiences that you've had lately. The link to join the free Single Player Experience Discord server is in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.